Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Marik. I'm a staff writer at Inside Nebraska, part of the Rivals Network. And that man over there, he is Jay Foreman, our NFL veteran and former Nebraska Blackshirt. Jay Foreman, it has been a while. How you doing, good sir?
Man, I'm doing good, man. It's it's hot and humid, so that means it's football season. So it's all good for me.
Yeah, definitely feels like football out there, the fall camp weather, for sure. But today, Jay and I will be breaking down Cade Pietrzak. So I tried doing some research, Jay. So he's one of the newest Nebraska football commits in the 2025 class. He's out of Cheyenne High School in West Fargo, North Dakota. 6'5", 250, 260-pound D lineman. This is a huge pickup. Just a really big pickup for Nebraska. Really great recruiting job by everybody involved, especially Terrence Knighton, pot roast, doing some work on the recruiting trail to get him. Like I said, just Nebraska getting Kade Pietrzak, in a battle between Oklahoma and Kansas State. It was really hard to kind of keep tabs on Cade because he just didn't talk to media members, which I really kind of respect a little bit. He just wasn't a big talker. He went about his business. He did his thing his way. And right now, he's a verbal commitment in Nebraska's 2025 class. So, but Jay, first of all, what are your initial reactions to Cade Pietrzak? What do you see from him? And we'll obviously show the viewers at home some plays of his, but initial reactions of Cade.
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, to be able to beat out legit, Oklahoma and obviously Kansas State is no slouch compared to Oklahoma and their development of defensive linemen. Going to the even next level, but playing good, at the respective universities. Also, both schools do a good job of identifying talent. So I think it's a really
Mhm.
big get for obviously Nebraska, Tony White, Coach Knighton to land him. And then my initial thoughts, and we'll see it in these plays. He's long. He's a long kid. You could tell he's you can look on tape and guys are say they're 6'5" and they're probably about 6'3" and a half. He's a legit 6'5". The thing that jumps out, he's got great get offs, and what we used to call he burps the offensive line. So that means he resets the offensive line or the line of scrimmage where he's at. So, and then he plays a great effort, and he does a pretty good job for a high school kid. Which there's no high school kid, doesn't matter what level that you come out of high school at. Now Cam Linhart, I think, was a little bit more of an advantage because he came from IMG. Got a lot of pro coaches. Learning how to use your hands and disengage blocks is at a whole nother level. So it doesn't matter if you're from Fargo, North Carolina, or Fargo, North Dakota, like this young man, or Minneapolis, Minnesota, like myself, or Jersey, like Jason Peter. You got to learn how to play and use your hands. And obviously, you need in order to play in the Big Ten, you got to get bigger. But I like his quickness. I like his effort. I like his change of direction. I like his athletic ability for being a legit 6'5", 250 some pounds. There's a lot to work with, and he's a lot like a lot of the guys they brought in the last season and a half.
Let's get into the plays right now, Jay. So this first one, what do you see here? Obviously, he's a disruptor in the backfield almost immediately.
Yeah, I mean, as a defensive lineman, you're not going against sophisticated pass schemes in high school, so you got
Mhm.
to be able to affect the game. I like that right there. The ability to be a knee bender right here, right? They tried to trap him, and then this is an old school trap right here where they try to cut him. Right, it's an influence block. He was able to play it pretty well here, where you're going against a guy that's he's overmatched the offensive lineman. But look how good he was able to, I call it a knee bender, right? So that means you're a good athlete. You can drop your hips, and then his eyes don't go down to the ground. Look at that. He does. That's actually pretty good technique. You just jam that guy's head to the ground, and then he spots the ball. He does a really good job of getting flat, but not so flat that he can give up a cutback. He goes to the inside hip, and then obviously makes the tackle for loss. And so that's a great play. And like you said, you got to be disruptive. Doesn't matter where you play. Doesn't matter what state you play in, who you playing against. You got to show up, and that's what he's done in these few plays that we have here.
Yeah, his length stands out. I mean, 6'5", and his ability to, not even just north and south, but on some of these highlights that we're going to be seeing, the east west. I mean, his effort sideline to sideline too for a bit really big body. I mean, he does not care out there. I mean, he is putting his head down and busting his butt to get to the ball carrier. But here's another one, just a what looks to me just like a bull rush that the offensive lineman had no chance on, and it's going to go out of the screen here, but still just pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, of course, being from North Dakota, people are gonna say the competition, and look,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Hall of Fame players that came from bigger, states and played a little bit lower competition and end up working its way out or working itself out. But you also just got to judge him on what he does on the field, right? You actually probably would get downgraded if you're big, fast, and strong like this, and you're not being disruptive. I like the pad level, right? You got to, that's a shorter offensive lineman, so you got underneath his pad level. He obviously going through two guys right there, and he more than collapsed the pocket. He destroyed the pocket there, and so look at the initial get off, right? He's not the last one. He's one of the first guy. He is the first guy off the line of scrimmage. Look at this right here, and he's not I call it a bobber. He's not a bobber. So when you fish, and you're trying to get a bite, the bobber goes up and down.
Yeah.
Look at his pad level, always underneath his opponent. And he's able to use his long arms or levers as they like to call it, and his power. And he gave him a little bit of a head fake there, and that lets you know that he's trying to set him up. And so, look, I mean, for this kid here, I can't speak for Coach Knighton, but just for me, from a defensive standpoint, I like the initial get off. I like the length. I like the pad level. I like the effort. And I like the change of direction. So right there, now it's going to come down to his mental makeup, how much he's willing to work and get bigger, faster, and stronger. And obviously learn the defensive scheme, and that's where you're in a partnership with Coach Knight.
And then obviously right here, just watch him. During our videos in the past, Jay, you always talk about creating a new line of scrimmage. I feel like Kade is doing exactly that right now, with just walking his what looks to be an offensive guard back.
Yeah, these are the plays that when you are getting recruited by Nebraska, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and a host of other. I think Miami. And when I looked as well, Miami offered him, and he'd went down there. So Jason Taylor, their defensive line's pass rush specialist, was excited. But look how he was able to stone him right there, disengage. I like that, and it's even better, right? You expect him to do this right here, right? So let's just, even though we're impressed by it, but like this is a norm for him, right? And he's not even hugging the line of scrimmage, but he's the first one off the line of scrimmage. Again, he's not a bobber, right? You look at the pad level, look at the shock and release, right? Button press, what we used to call. Then I like the disengage right there. Kind of, pushed him up with his left hand. Obviously, the guy was stunned. But then even better, I like that he's finishing this play right here.
Yeah.
And he's using your best partner in crime when you play defense. That's the ground. I want to see guys drive guys through the ground. You're not going to be able to hit guys, coming across the middle, but you can still be physical. You see it right there. You're right. You're making them pay. These are the ones you're making deposit into the opponent's mental bank. That you don't want to run the play. I like it right there. I like the mentality of him. Again, he's just coming out of high school. His last name is hard to pronounce, Pietrzak, but we'll call him the P man right here. I like Kade and what he's done, and I'm probably excited for him to be committed.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that we know we can go north south, but that east west too. When he disengages from that blocker, he's running, and I just really like that about him, and that shows up all over the place in his highlight film. Jay, another one right here. Pass rush from him, just simply goes around his guard and gets to the quarterback.
Yeah, like it right there, a little dip and rip, not a hard thing to do. But then also, again, I like the finish there, right? I mean, he looked like he was about to try to power bomb this dude right here. That's what look, good initial kick, get off, and he's got to get better probably using his hands, because at the Big Ten, you'll have offensive linemen that can recover a little bit. But, as far as like, right, the get off right here, and he's a little bit late off the ball, but look at, he's kind of working the hands there, gets on the edge. Then again, I talk about not being a bobber. What does he do? He drops his hips, right, and keeps his pad level below the left guard here, I think number 59.
Yep.
And then he's able to finish it. And by dropping your pad level here, Steven, and when you're running let's call it a dip and rip, it allows you to use the offensive lineman's leverage and body weight against them to keep you on track to the quarterback. So if you're too high, that offensive lineman could ride you out there into that left tackle spot. Now he's able just to lean in him. This is what you see like when you see defensive linemen running the hoop in group work, and I'm sure you guys get in there. This is what it's for, right? You want to lean into in this case, the offensive guard, and it allows you to finish the sack. And it's a sack forced fumble. The only other thing he could do was pick it up and score. But I like the finish right there, because I know for a fact he was trying to go for a power bomb and drop him on the back of his head, whether it's Randy Orton or somebody like that. I like that right there. I like Now, granted, he's in high school. He's the biggest, baddest dude out there.
Yep.
Probably the best dude in the state.
Hmm.
But I like the mentality. Right now, you got to be able to carry that down here, or just for any kid. Now you're going to be going against grown men, and you can't be tough when you're the biggest dude out there. You just got to be tough all the time. But I like what he's doing.
And for this final play, I mentioned the east-west stuff with him. He just, when he sees the ball, he goes and gets it and busts his butt to the ball carrier.
Yeah, I mean, Steve right here, I like it right there, right? It's a little down around block. I like it. He defeats the block, right? So again, you do this by having square pads and good leverage. Leverage is where you're at your hat level, right? Below him. Then he blows through it, looks like the tight end.
Hmm.
But like you said, the effort and the ability to get, sideline to sideline is how you get on the field, right? You can run. This is the natural instincts to run and chase the ball and try to arrive, there with some, violence is, it's a lost art in the state of football, but especially in high school football. So you see a kid that, I'm a big believer, and obviously this is a highlight tape, right?
Yeah.
But it shows that those there's plenty of guys that are going places don't have these type of highlights from the effort standpoint, the physicality standpoint.
Hmm.
Let he loves the game of football, or at least shows it right now. So look, man, the frame is there, the potential is there. I think it kind of fits like we've talked about on numerous black shirt breakdowns. Guys like this and other players that they've recruited over the last year and a half, not 100%, but what I mean is they do a good. It's a Matt Rule staff type of pickup. Tremendous athlete, runs well. Obviously, looks on tape, but can be molded, coached, and developed. So he fits right in. Plus, he's local. He's not too far from home, even though Fargo's, up there pretty high up there in North Dakota. But he's a local kid, and so it's almost like you win two battles, right? You beat your old rival Oklahoma and Oklahoma, or both rivals, Oklahoma and Kansas State. Out for the young man. But then also you state claim up in a state that all the way back to Darren Erstad, you had some good luck out of there. But then also you protected your. Well, I don't know. I mean, it might be 500 miles to Fargo, but you're protecting that, so-called 500 to 750 mile radius
Hmm.
with the big get. Considering also he had a legit offer or a committable offer from Miami,
Hmm.
and he was willing to go there, on a visit. So that lets you know he's been noticed by some pretty good coaches and the recruiting staffs.
So Kade Pietrzak is the third D lineman in the Huskers 2025 class. He's joining Tyson Terry out of Omaha North High School here in Nebraska, and then Malcolm Simpson, which we need to do a Blackshirt breakdown on Malcolm out of Hitchcock, Texas. Kade Pietrzak, great stuff as always, Jay. But before we get out of here, does Kade remind you of anybody that's currently on Nebraska's roster at all for the D
Uh,
linemen?
well, I would say probably Van Poppel just
Yeah.
from being long and all that. But obviously, Van Poppel when he came in, I think he was at least 275, 280, and then obviously he got into the weight program. I think he was an early enrollee, and then obviously he looked the part. But athletic ability and all that stuff, they look like twins.
Hmm.
And you look, I know we're talking about Cade, but Tyson Terry's probably, it seems like he's been committed to the Nebraska since seventh grade.
Yes, he has.
And what I like is obviously with Ty Robinson and Nash, most I'm assuming this is their last year. You got to replenish, right? And then you got some
Yep.
young guys, you got to get them going. And I think Judy as well. So that's 3 for 3 in the next year that they're gone. But I like that they're combining different styles with each other, right? So you're actually building a kind of defensive line. So I think Tyson Terry would play well with Cade. Obviously if everything goes right and they both have the same mindset, and that which is obviously trying to get excellence. And I think Cade would play good and off of him as well. So it's not just let's go. They're not going out there recruiting four guys that all look the same and play the same. They're trying to put guys in the best position, at least initially, where they can be successful.
And before we get out of there, what's your reaction to he plays in North Dakota, the competition? We don't know how good he is. I mean,
Yeah, well, I played it. I would tell you, listen, I fought a little bit of that. I came from Minnesota, and back then the Gophers were horrible, so nobody was really coming through or coming, to the state of Minnesota to recruit nationally. I was fortunate enough to kind of put myself on the map by the way of, you know, really having a good game against, Lane Kiffin and company when they were probably there to watch him. So I know what it's like. But you know what? I play with a lot of guys from whether it's Georgia, Texas, Florida, California, all the places that think they, invented high school football, and they play pretty much semi-pro football at an age from 16 to 18 that couldn't play dead. So, and then it's always going to be an adjustment for every kid. Now, some might be more than others, but I think with him, football wise, as long as the want to and the acumen is there, I think for him, he just got to get bigger, right? I mean, so the adjustment for him is more in the things that he can control. He's got to, eat right, get in there and do that stuff. As far as being a good enough athlete and the want to, just from initial, I mean, obviously we've got to watch 4 plays, but for everybody else that wanted him, I don't think the football part would be that big a deal, because I think that excuse is sometimes low hanging fruit, because it's the easiest thing to say. Well, you're from North Dakota, so you're playing against people that can't play dead. Well, say he comes here and really takes into the weight program, and then he starts to ascend in this type of environment. Well, then what's the excuse then? Is it, oh, this is a one-off or not? Just everybody has to adjust. And you will see it here very soon. We got a freshman quarterback most likely going to start. You got guys that have been in college that are coming here and needs to adjust to the Big Ten. Everybody had to adjust. Tommy Frazier had to adjust. Jay Foreman had to adjust. Grant Wistrom, I know for a fact he was my roommate, had to adjust and get better. And everybody else, Eric Crouch on to, Taylor Martinez, Adrian Martinez, Terrell Farley, everybody had to go through the trials and tribulations. And that's a good thing. So, because it makes you tougher in it.
Excellent stuff as always, Jay. So for Jay Foreman, I am Steve Marik, and that was the Blackshirt Breakdown Kade Pietrzak style. And before we get out of here, I urge all the viewers at home to like and subscribe this video. It'll help the channel grow, and it'll help us do more Blackshirt breakdowns and keep everybody updated in Nebraska's recruiting comings and going. So for Jay, I'm Steve. That was Blackshirt Breakdown Kade Pietrzak style. We'll catch y'all later.